Hi, I'm Engineer Hoist, and this is my review of the Transformers Combiner Wars Ultra freaking Magnus. Okay, so if you guys saw my review of the New York City Toy Fair from back in February, you know how excited I was for this new figure of Ultra Magnus. And I have to say, he does not disappoint at all. This is truly a fantastic figure. First of all, we see him here in his iconic vehicle mode as the red, white, and blue car carrier with a bonus figure giving a nod to the more than meets the eye comic Minimus Ambus. I know a lot of people, including myself, have been really hoping to have an official figure of Minimus Ambus. Heck, there haven't even been any third-party ones, although I think there was one that you could get from like Shapeways or some 3D printing service. Anyway, he's a tiny little car, but he's in fact, we never saw Minimus Ambus actually transform, so I guess this is good. But he's got the white, he's got the green, fits the color, and it's a pretty standard car transformation. You just flip out the legs and you turn them around. This back is a little difficult to transform because it's got a couple of little, like, I don't know, not really ratchets, but it's got some points in there that don't really bend very easily, and you do have a tendency to pop his arms straight off, and finally it bends down, and then you go back and reattach his arms. There's one, and there's two, and now here's tiny little Minimus Ambus, the man behind Ultra Magnus, the most recent in a long line of Ultra Magnuses, or Ultra Magni, whatever. He's the current and most famous Ultra Magnus that everybody knows and loves from the comics, and more than meets the eye. It's really neat. I know a lot of people were flipping out, oh, it's not Ultra Magnus, he's not a guy in a suit. Ultra Magnus has always been a guy in the suit. From G1, he was that white Optimus Prime cab that plugged into the trailer. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it, and I think it's great. So anyway, we'll put him off to the side, and we'll get back to him later. So we've got the truck, and he's a little small compared to some of the other deluxe figures, but you know, that's what you're going to get with the leader class. The masterpiece scales far better, obviously, but otherwise he's spot on. He's got the white cab, he's got the big blue back section with the red in the middle, and the arms become the top part of the carrier. He's got the missiles mounted on the sides. The doors open in the back, or the ramp, I guess, opens up so you can, well, sort of drive a car up if you could get them to do a wheelie first. You could even pop these off and then have them do a double wheelie to get up on the top. And then it all comes back together. All standard features for your classic Ultra Magnus, whether it be the G1 or the Masterpiece, or even now our Combiner Wars / IDW inspired Ultra Magnus. So it comes with two weapons, which can store on the back here. He's got a couple of holes on the side where you can arm them up, and then again on this side as you lower his ramp while installing the doors, or rather the weapons. And there he is. He's all armed up and ready for battle. He's got a nice range of motion on his cab. He can, you know, do a nice little turn and get himself practically jackknifed there. It doesn't come off. It's pretty much on there. It's on a little slide as part of the transformation. It doesn't come off. It doesn't turn into a figure itself, but that's what you got this guy for. And for anybody wondering why he can't just sit in, we know that Minimus Ambus can sit in here, and I'll show that off in a minute. For anybody wondering why you can't do that, well, that's why. His head stores in there. So anyway, so let's get these weapons off. And unlike the other Ultra Magnuses, like the G1 and the Masterpiece, you do actually have to take these off because the parts do. This part goes on the inside, and then they'll plug back on after we get the arms transformed. So you take all those weapons off, set them off to the side, and I don't know the official instructions way, but these are all things you got to do. You go ahead and get the arms off. You can kind of get them folded down and off to the side, just like the G1. You just slide it up, and now you just kind of fold in the, you know, the wrist guard or whatever. You fold that around, reveals his hand, slide that up, very much like the G1 figure. So now we kind of got to go ahead and take these red pieces off, bring them out to the side. Just unpeg them. You don't take them off, and then kind of split the legs here. This chest piece that folds in there kind of gets in there pretty securely, so it's a little bit of work to kind of get that loose from the legs. That's why it's easier to go ahead and split the legs apart. And he just kind of unfolds into a big mess. He's probably not seeing it on the camera, so you can get it away. Bring the legs down, and we'll go ahead and finish off the legs. It kind of tabs in back in here, so kind of bring that out a little bit, rotate it in, then there's another slot for it to tab in, and go ahead and fold up the front. The foot folds in there, and I've seen some people kind of just leave it back like that because that's how it comes in the package, but really you need to go ahead and bring it out. Gives them a more prominent foot instead of hiding back in there. And this little thigh joint wants to come loose for some reason, but it's just a standard mushroom peg. If it comes off, you can go right back on. So there we go. Same thing on the other side. You know, something about a second verse, as MGO would say. Then we flip up the red pieces, fold them back, and there is a tab for them to slot in. There we go. Now this whole, bring this camera up. This whole red piece kind of folds up 90 degrees. Keep the chest piece down. Let me get this up even farther. And so the truck part just slides down, and it helps if your arms are kind of like this to where it's out of the way, because the front of the cab comes off like that and rotates around and then folds down into the chest cavity. And then you want to open up these panels, the one on the, well, if you're looking at him, the right hand side, or Magnus is left, because the Autobot logo on the front of the cab is actually on that side, and it kind of locks the other one in. So you open that up, you open up the other one, flip up this piece, and flip up his head. Now you can go ahead and close this up, and then close up his chest piece, and there is Ultra Magnus. If I can get this, and he's a tall guy. So let me go ahead and get this up. There we go. Now, as I said before, and as you've probably seen on other videos or even in the Toy Fair shots, you can fit little Minimus Ambus in here. You just flip down the chest, flip up his head, open up these cab parts again, and so you got a nice little seat in there. There's actually quite a bit of detailing, but it's all white, so it's kind of hard to pick out. So anybody who's really patient and got a steady hand and wants to paint the inside of that, we'll have a really nice looking control console for Mr. Minimus Ambus in here. So anyway, I'm just going to go ahead and fold him up into a seating position and slide him in here. And he does have a couple little pegs for him to hold on to as he's in there. Just kind of get them all in there. And close up the cab, fold up the chest piece, and there's your little guy. It's like a little pilot, and it's sitting there in the Magnus armor. And the last thing you do, fold down the head, and bam. And he hides him pretty well. If you look at it from the top, you can see his shoulders in there. But because they're white, it blends right in with the white cab, and so you know it hides really well. And so there's Ultra Magnus, except we've got to go and put his missile launchers there on his shoulders. There's a couple of little holes here, and this does actually open up to help with the posability. And there's our Ultra Magnus that we've all been waiting for. He's really fantastic. Now, I might have said something silly back in that video where he looks better than the Masterpiece, and that's just not true. But I'll tell you, if you can't afford the crazy price for that Masterpiece Ultra Magnus, this guy will suit your needs just fine at a far more affordable price. He's going to fit into not necessarily a Masterpiece collection, but any Chug style Generations collections. He's just really, really fantastic. I'm super happy with this. I'm so glad he doesn't disappoint from what we first saw him when he was originally released or announced. He does have hands that open and close, and that's actually where if I had to nitpick anything, it would be that the weapons, he doesn't hold them very well, because you know if you've seen Masterpieces, you see they hold those up, but they've got a little tab that kind of goes in there, helps them be more secure. There's no such thing on these weapons, so they go in there and it just closes around him, and he holds them pretty well. But you can see this one over here is not holding as good. So he doesn't hold them very securely, but if you're not doing a whole lot of craziness with him, he's going to hold them just fine. And there you go. There's Ultra Magnus. And ever since animated Magnus came around, Magnus has been associated with the hammer. So you can do that too. You take both guns, you just kind of plug the end of this one into the other end of this one. Then here's a staff, which is in no way reminiscent of just one gun plugged into the back of another one. Anyway, and then you take off his shoulder missiles, and there you go. If he's not sitting on the feet just right, he does have a tendency to fall over backwards, as many people saw in MGo's video. It was actually quite humorous. I loved how he handled that. So anyway, you plug the missile launchers on the side of this, and you have a hammer, which in no way looks like a couple of missile launchers plugged onto one gun, which is plugged into the back of another gun. Anyway, so he can hold this too, sort of. And that's what these little notches are in both of his wrist guards. It allows you to slide this in. And really the only way you can hold it is if he puts this in. You can slide, that's why these two little notches here, you kind of slide that in there, slide it in, close it around, and he doesn't hold it very securely at all. It totally just spins, whee! But it doesn't fall out. but it doesn't also stay where you want it to. Now, I was seeing some other videos, and that's all I saw them do, and so I was trying a whole bunch of different things. Hey, let's go try to put it on there. Well, no, it just doesn't. It doesn't go in there. Can he hold anywhere else? And no, really, there's just that's it. You can just kind of hold it. That's Magnus with his hammer. Just not really useful. Okay, enough with this silly hammer. I like my Magnus with the shoulder cannons. Here we go. Get these back on. Get him looking all Magnus-y. He's all ready to enforce that Tyrest Accord and criticize your grammar and use of semicolons. Combiner Wars Ultra Magnus. I'm Engineer Hoist. Thanks for watching this video. Please leave a comment, share, like, subscribe, all that stuff that people tell you to do on YouTube. Do it. I'd appreciate it. Thanks for watching, and have a good one.